You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast on Digital Stream Radio.
When you're an entrepreneur, you go through all the emotions most days and most hours. This week, I got the chance to talk to a veteran childcare provider who reminded me to always stand my ground, focus on the important stuff, and keep it fun. It's going to be good, so stick around. Hey everyone, you're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candace. Now let's start the show. Hey guys.
Hey, everyone. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so good.
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
And you know what that means, right?
The Breezy Moms podcast.
That's right. Coming to you, hosted by your host with the most, your hostess with the mostest, Miss Candace over here. And, and I'm, of course, just running stuff back here and doing our thing, but it is Thursday.
You're the most too. Don't worry. You are the most
on my own show. And but we're here, and it's Thursday. It's as she said, the Breezy Moms podcast comes to you every Thursday, and you can access the audio live stream on digitalstreamradio.com, or you can visit our Facebook page, which is the Breezy Moms podcast, and you can like the page, and then of course get access to the video version of the show, which we usually provide on Facebook Live. So, yay.
Hey.
We're back.
Okay, so I was confused at the beginning. So I'm trying to share the Facebook Live thing right now. And always whenever you're under pressure is when you feel like you don't know anything. You have like brain freeze right at the moment.
So while you're doing that, we always end up with the weather anyway at the beginning. So
I know. What has the weather been like?
It's been breezy.
I was just going to say that.
I'm sorry. I jumped the gun on you, didn't I?
It has been crazy
Yes.
breezy. Holy cow. And not the kind of breezy that I like to think that I am. It's like intense wind knocking over everything, howling, throwing furniture around in our backyard, toys and things are getting flown around. It's insane out there. I still push the kids outside, but it's crazy.
There's so many leaves all over the place, all over my backyard. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I wasn't ready for this.
I know. I kind of like it though. I was admiring the leaves. We don't have that many colors. It's kind of like a yellow and an orange situation going in our yard. My yard, we cut down all of the trees in our yard. And so we don't get a lot of activity, which generally is a good thing.
Yeah.
But for this fall season where everybody is really excited about, leaves changing colors.
Everybody
blah, blah, blah.
else's leaves are going to end up in your yard.
So
now.
that's what's happened because of this, crazy wind. My whole backyard is so colorful and this huge. So I was really excited because this week a couple weeks ago, I started a project in the backyard. I got a little inspired by you and all your backyard projects.
And my craziness?
Your craziness. I'm not doing all of that, but I wanted to move our digging pit. We had a little digging pit that was probably like 5 by 6 feet. And it seemed big, but once 3 or 4 kids are in there, there's really not a lot of space left for them to dig. And so I wanted to move it to another side of the yard, and I made it 9 feet by 13 feet.
Okay. Digging pit. So what are we digging for?
Anything you want to dig for. So it started as a digging pit before, and now it's a digging pit, but the goal is to make it an outdoor kitchen, like an outdoor mud kitchen. So it's just a digging area so that I don't have them digging in my grass or in places or in the garden where I don't want them to dig. So you just set out, you section off a little area and you're like, okay, this is our digging pit, and you make a big deal about it and you put a bunch of shovels and buckets and whatever, and then you tell them that's where you dig. I want you to dig. You want to dig, but dig there. Don't dig in the middle of the yard.
Can we have them come do that in my like vegetable garden every spring?
Sure. I mean, I can't get over here with all of them, but I could bring my kids.
Yeah,
they would love to
it's
do
like,
that.
hey, listen, we'll give them some shovels. Here, go turn the soil.
Turn the soil.
Turn the soil.
You just have to put some little things out there and make a game of it. Because when my kids, like, they are interested in weeding when they think we're just walking around pulling stuff out of the ground. But when I say, hey, I need to weed, can you pull that weed? And we got to, like, then it sounds like work and they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But if there's a game of it, it's like, who can pull the most weeds? Make sure we're looking for the kinds of plants that have like these spiky things, blah, blah, blah. Then it becomes a game and they want to do it.
With my luck, I'll end up getting like arrested or something. My neighbors will call the cops for child labor. Lord have mercy.
All right. So, I mean, it is West Haven. Okay.
True.
Well, at least it's not East Haven. I wouldn't come if it was East Haven.
True. You're right.
Yeah, but anyway, so I have, so I was going to hire a contractor to come in and do a whole bunch of stuff. I wanted to actually just get rid of all of the grass in my backyard. And I get into these funky moods whenever it's time to mow the grass, and I have to move all of the kid furniture and all the kid toys and stuff. And then I just want to chuck everything in the garbage. So I got really like upset one day and I was like, pull up all the grass. I don't want any grass. I felt like my mom, just put cement down on everything. We don't need any grass. And then when I came down off of that, I was like, well, if I move the digging pit, then we'll take up some of that grass and blah, blah, we'll move a couple things around. And so anyway, I was going to hire someone to do it because I don't DIY. And then one day, I guess maybe I just need to get some aggression out. And so I just started digging in the yard and making my little square. It's kind of like a half circle. Anyway, and before I knew it, like 2 or 3 days of maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes, and it was done. So I just finished it this week on Monday or Tuesday, something like that. So anyway, I have these big plans for what's next, but in the meantime, the kids are perfectly fine with just an open area that's very clear. And I made a big deal with them. Let's get all the digging toys and bring it over here and move it, And so it was
just get some excited and interested in that area.
Yes. And I just did it yesterday, and I did it before Lincoln and Emery got home. So I didn't even realize that they hadn't seen it all day yesterday and today. So this afternoon I said to Lincoln, "Oh, Lincoln, I moved the digging pit." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And as he walked around the garage, he goes, "Whoa, this is awesome." And I was like, "Yes."
And he loves it.
He loves it.
So that means that he's
and it's not even done. Right. It's not even what I think I want it to be, but he's happy with where it's at now. So
what else do you plan to do to this digging pit?
So I want to make so it's called a mud kitchen. It's called a mud kitchen, and there's a local, I always talk about this place, Common Ground High School, that has all these really cool areas for play. The school is at the base of a state park, of a mountain. Mm-hmm. And so there's like acres and acres of woods right around the school. And they have managed that area, in a way that's good for early childhood and like elementary and middle school. So even though they are a high school, the rest of the area is meant for camps during the summer. They have a program during the school year called Nature Year, where kids come, that you're enrolled in your own school, but one day a week you spend a whole day on the farm at their school. So anyway, I go to their place and I get all these really cool ideas of just really cool things that kids are just really interested in, and you don't think that they would be because it's like a dirt pile. But if you give, like, they have to put cones around the mulch pile. You know when you get a big delivery of mulch and it's the big thing, they've got to put cones around it because all the kids want to do is run up it and run down, right, and roll down.
Yeah,
like they're just happy with a mud hill, a dirt hill, or a mud field, or like whatever.
Anything to get dirty,
yes,
and have mom spend extra money on detergent. Mm-hmm. That's usually the case.
Yeah. So the thing that's really cool about the space that reminds me all the time is that we don't really need to spend a ton of money on all the things that we think we need. And I wish I had learned that before we spent a ton of money on all these things that I thought we needed. So just today, I put out a big black garbage bag in my yard garage area, and I'm just starting to dump a bunch of stuff in it that the kids don't actually use. They just pull out and throw. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever really see them engaging in it. The things that they do engage in are always being used. You know what I mean? And not sort of casually just tossed up in the air and land wherever they land.
So you're treating the kids' toys like you would clothes that's been sitting in your closet a year.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
So it's spring cleaning in the fall.
Yes, spring cleaning in the fall, a little fall cleanup. And the plan for this mud kitchen that would be awesome is if I could get like what's the term, reclaimed or some sort of used, because you don't want to go out and spend money on new things for an outdoor mud kitchen, right? So just yesterday or the day before, I went to Goodwill and bought some cake pans and muffin tins, like everything tin, stainless steel, that kind of stuff. And those things go outside. The kids pour some water in the dirt, they dig it up, and they put it in the muffin tin, and then they pretend to cook it in a I have a crate, like a milk crate, and that becomes the oven. Like, you don't even need a real oven. You just need something that pretends to be an oven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I mean, kids, the imagination is just incredible.
And so that's the thing. A lot of things I've been reading lately have just said that you want to give things that make kids work, like make their imagination work, and don't tell them exactly what to do. You know, so if it's a robot toy that talks to them, then once they're done hearing what the robot has to say, then they don't care about it anymore. But if you give them some stuff to build a robot, right? All of the work that goes into building this robot, even if it doesn't look like a robot, even if it looks absolutely ridiculous, they still think it's a robot, and they did a whole lot of work in their mind to get it to that point, and that's what you're trying to get them to do. So
that's amazing.
Anyway, that's the long and the short of it, and I guess really the how we skipped right over, but it's kind of how the boys are.
Yeah, that's how the boys are. So, so before we go any further, because I think we need to tee up what's going to happen later on in the show. So, why don't you tell us what you did?
Yeah. So, tonight's going to be a special kind of episode, because I got the chance to interview a childcare provider. As you know, I've been interviewing lots of people who are entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I have been following this woman, Miss Tonya, on Instagram for the last couple months. And I was like, I've got a real show. I can reach out to this lady and ask her if I can interview her. And still, we've been doing this so long, but still, when it's people that I don't know, I still get a little bit weird about asking them to come on the show. So anyway, I reached out to her and she said yes, and I was super excited. But she's in California, and so the time difference was going to clash with our general Thursday 7:30 time. So I got the chance to talk to her on Tuesday, and I did a wonderful interview with her then. And so what we're going to do is, you can't hear it now, but in the playback, once we post the final episode, you'll be able to hear the interview. So I guess I could tee up a little bit about what the interview was about.
Yeah, I would, because I mean, they're going to be
hearing
it yet.
Yeah, and you didn't hear it. So Miss Tonya is a childcare provider. She's been a provider for 29 years. And like me and probably a lot of childcare providers, she started when her child, her smallest child, was supposed to go to daycare, and she decided she didn't want to. And so she opened up her daycare, and now her kids are like 29, 30, or however old, like they're totally grown. She's got grandkids who are now in her program, and it's just something that she was doing out of necessity, and then realized that she loved it and was actually really good at it. So that's her. And then like on her business side, and then on Instagram, the way I found her is through this thing called the Daycare Chronicles 101, which are these little tips that she puts out basically daily. It's a tip of the day, and it's always like the reason why I love watching her show is because they're always so timely, and it's probably because I'm in the same field, but some of the tips that she gives, it either just happened to me, or it's like, oh, I didn't know that could happen, but now I know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things are it's funny because none of the big things that you have to deal with in childcare are really related to the kids. It's a lot to do with the management of the business and dealing with parents. And so a lot of the things are like, parents don't show up on time, or they expect you to open early for them, or they expect you to make accommodations for them, or they don't want to send the things that the kids need and expect you to get it. And just in the moment when stuff like that is happening, it's difficult to stand your ground, right? Or
not only that, navigate
the
issue when it comes to attitudes and personalities, right?
Yep.
Because parents also, I would assume, when they're going and leaving your child or leaving their child with you, feel a certain kind of way if your child is coming home learning certain things that maybe the parents said, I don't think maybe that's how I would have done it, but that's how she's doing it. Do I have a problem with that? How do I address that?
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Right, because you could have, for example, a child that's coming into your space and surrounding other children that may be learning language at home that's not appropriate for the daycare yet.
She does
Diary of the mouth.
She does have one that's like, stop blaming daycare for everything that your kid does that you don't like. So it probably came from you. But it's that kind of thing. And I think that's definitely valid. What I get from it, what I get from her tips and just in general trying to be prepared is a little bit on the, it's a little bit childcare related and probably just small business related, right? There is a balance of power that needs to be managed. And definitely in childcare, there's sort of this, we're always combating this like babysitter. All you do is sit at home and not do anything with the kids, or, you know what I mean? This thing around childcare providers and that my program is my program and I'm running it the way that I want to run it. And so if you don't like the things that we're working on here, that I'm teaching the kids here, then maybe this program isn't for you, right? I've met a provider before who said a prospective parent came to visit and said things like, oh, you don't have any carpet in this room? You think you want to get carpet? And she was like, I'm sorry, are you trying to remodel my house? No, if your kid needs carpet, then you should go to a place that has carpet.
Or bring me one.
Or vice versa. Oh, you have a dog? Oh, is your dog in the house during daycare? Yes, my dog is in the house during daycare. If you don't want a dog at your daycare, then you probably need to go find another daycare. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, you always have options.
You always have options, but I think sometimes on both sides, people forget that. And in some cases, maybe if you really need clients, you start to bend over backwards. And I think something that I learned from her is like, once you start to do that, you start to lose your
love for it.
Yeah. And lose your thing. Yeah. And it becomes all these different things, right? And you're trying to please all these different people. And so I don't want to go all the way into it, but it's the thing that I got the most out of it is about managing the balance, right? You want to provide a good service, but you also want to provide your service. And people have to come to you wanting what you're giving and being happy with what you're giving. And if they're not, then they can always go and find someone else. And sometimes it's hard to remember that, and you start wobbling and making adjustments for this one and that one. And if you have 6 kids, that's like 6 different people, and then you'll go crazy.
And of course. And even in the podcasting world, like for example, in our own podcast, we have a lot of people that reach out to us all the time saying, hey, I would like to be featured on your show. And they're giving us all these crazy schedules and times, et cetera. And I'm like, no, there's a live component to our show. So it's not like, we're live at 6 p.m. every day, or excuse me, not every day, but every week on Mondays. This is when we go live, and you need to fit within the curtail of that time frame. Right. So we have an hour and 20 minutes. Typically, we'd like our guests to show up during the second half of the show, and so that's what we have. And then you decide.
Yeah.
We don't go any further than that.
Yeah.
Here's our time. Here's what we do. Here's our lineup. Here's our rules. Here's what you need to make sure that you have on your end, right? Because we have a responsibility as a provider of a show to give you awesome sound quality and make sure that when we're having interviews, we have minimal interference or minimal interruptions. And so we spell all that out in a nice little email that we send out. This is what our show is like. This is how it's structured. This is what you need to make sure you have on your end. And this is what we have. And, we let them make that decision because at the end of the day, I can talk for an hour and a half about bullshit and not have to worry about having a guest. But, it's always great to have other people bring in different perspectives and things like that. And so it's very similar to that, stick to your guns.
Stick to your guns.
Have a format, have a plan, and do what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah. And she says a lot, not at all whatsoever. And I just laugh so hard every time she says that, because the things that people come to her with, and she talked a lot about nipping things in the bud. Like you think that you're making an allowance for it this one time, but once you do that, it sets a precedent, right?
That's right.
And that's with clients, that's with staff, that's with yourself, that's with, all of those things. You have to nip things in the bud and sort of stick to what you're doing so that you can continue doing what you're doing, or else there so many ways to get burnout in this business, or in, I think in most businesses, if you don't stick to your guns. And that obviously doesn't mean that you have to be rigid or like unreasonable, but in general, you want to stick to your guns.
Yeah, and I think having something written down, some
Helps
guidelines.
that. Yeah, handbook.
Some guidelines, handbook, things that are written and say, okay, this is canon.
I know, I love it. She says she has her sick policy on her, like, laminated outside her front door. So like before sick kids even get in, she sees something. She's like, well, let's check out the sick policy right here before we even get inside. She threw up last night right here on the policy. It says she can't come today. She can come tomorrow though. I'll see you tomorrow. It's like hilarious. So
that's awesome. So it sounds like it's going to be an amazing conversation.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. And so sorry you can't hear it right now, but listen
but you will
back.
Shortly.
Yes.
We wanted to come on Facebook Live just to let you guys know that, hey, we're doing something today. Candace and I will probably, after we're done wrapping up this live stream, we'll end up, tying in the rest of the episode and publishing it so you can go to Google Play Music and Stitcher Radio and Podbean and iTunes and get the entire thing.
Then.
So that's amazing.
So yeah, that was really cool. And it was like a fan moment of like reaching out to someone on Instagram, and I don't even know how to Instagram. Did you notice the other day I posted something on Facebook and accidentally added a poll, and I felt so old and useless because I had no idea how I did that. And then once I realized it, I couldn't figure out how to get it off. I was like, this is some bullshit.
Just got to delete, rinse and repeat. Seriously.
So definitely on Instagram, I really don't know what I'm doing. And so I've only just started in the last several months to be on Instagram and to sort of fix my feed so that it's looking at the people that I want to see, right? So it's lots of daycare stuff, lots of early childhood stuff, lots of nature play stuff, lots of like get out in the woods and play kind of stuff. And lately, have you heard? Oh gosh, now I can't remember what it's called. It's like a smudge stick. Paolo. I'm interested in this, and I want for somebody to tell me about it or to come on the show and talk about it. So people are into like crystals and cleansing, auras and smudging. You know what smudging is?
Is that the one where you like burn the sage and smudge it all over?
Smudge it all over.
Well, sage has always been one of those things that people have always traditionally used in many different cultures as a cleansing agent for the spirits, right? And so I personally love the way it smells, so I wouldn't mind burning sage and smudging. Smudge
away.
Obviously, you're going to tell us a little bit about what...
Oh, I don't know anything about it. I'm saying it out loud so that somebody will come on and talk to me about it.
So if anybody knows about sage and smudging...
Smudging, it's called a Palo Santo. It's a stick. It looks like a wood stick. It must smell like something. It must have some sort of smell. And so anyway, I follow this woman, the Afro Minimalist, on Instagram, and she was talking about clearing her like mind and cleansing the space and all that sort of stuff. And I literally had no clue what Palo Santo was. And so when I looked it up on Instagram,
can I see?
It's
how it's spelled?
Palosanto.
Palo Santo. Okay, right. So that's Spanish for...
I know. For what?
It's Spanish for a blessed stick. Yes.
Okay. All right. So it's a blessed stick. And then I could... Okay. So the
or
first...
a divine stick. Something that inspires divinity.
Okay. So I looked it up on Instagram, and the first few pages were in Spanish, and I couldn't understand. I couldn't figure out anything because it was like a lot of stuff. And these kind of words, I don't know these words. These are not everyday. whatever talking about cleansing auras and spirits and blessings and stuff, those aren't the regular Spanish words that I use all the time. So trying to decipher what they were talking about, I couldn't. And then as I found more, then it was stuff in English.
Google Translate.
Yes, listen, I was doing it very quickly at 4 a.m. when I couldn't sleep.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
That kind of thing. But it made me think that James is really into aromatherapy and likes to pick out all these different scents. We were in the Bath and Body Works.
Bath and Body Works, yep.
Bath and Body Works the other day. And I realized, number one, I haven't been into that store in at least a decade, okay? A decade easy, maybe more. And two, I am very overwhelmed by that many options.
And that
so
many smells. It's like walking into Yankee Candle.
I don't go in there.
I can't walk in that store.
I don't go in there.
So you walk in and you immediately get bombarded with so many smells. I get an instant headache and I can't focus. Like I'm like... This one smells just like every other one that I've just smelled walking in. And especially when they're like that nutmeggy. Oh my God. It's just...
You know, the scent that I really don't like is anything sort of like apple, or apple pear, like those kinds of fruity things. Yeah. They are so overwhelming to me and give me an instant headache. The scents that I can kind of deal with from those kinds of stores are the lime verbena, lemon verbena, or
I like their sandalwood,
something like that. Those other masculine-y kind of smells, sandalwood, and like those kinds of things. Midnight Sun, is that purple?
That's the black one, the black purplish one.
Yeah, that one is
Midsummer's Night, I think is what it's called.
Okay, so that one's reminiscent of Love Spell from Victoria's Secret, which they discontinued however many years ago.
It smells like a man. Like I just want to lay on him.
Okay, that's not what Love Spell smells like. But what's funny is that I found something like Love Spell that I had, maybe like a spritzer, a while ago, and I used to wear it a lot in college. And when I put it on, I walked by and James goes, what's that? Like, what's happening right now? And it's like, scent is your strongest, I think it is your strongest, memory trigger, and it just instantly puts you right back. You're like, oh, I remember being in Boston at XYZ place doing XYZ thing. Like, it's such a strong
and I can tell you, so we
trigger.
Each have a very unique body chemistry, and if you find a cologne that works well with your chemistry, girl, you better get ready, because you was about to turn some serious heads. It doesn't matter. When you find the right cologne, the one that works with your chemistry, you can spritz just a little bit on and walk by people, and people will be like, what are you wearing? Because
so
it smells good. Like you are like, you literally just became a cake or
something edible,
a muffin or something. Like,
a muffin.
I am going in. Yeah. So there's, I could tell you, there's this cologne called Sauvage, and it's by Dior. And certain people can wear it and certain people can't. There's one guy that wears it, and I swear to God, it's just like, it's like edible candy. It's like,
I know, because everybody can't wear the same thing. You might put on something and someone else puts it on. You're like, oh, it smells like a skunk. Like, it's not right.
I literally, I'm like, can I hug you? Hi, how are you?
Again.
Yeah, I'm horrible. I know.
So if anybody is listening and is into aromatherapy,
Palo Santo
or Palo Santo, I would love to hear more about this. I'm gonna do some more Instagramming and see if I can find someone to tell me a little bit more. I'm trying to remember the days. The days run into each other. I don't think I've seen you since I tried meditating. Did I tell you I tried to meditate?
No.
Okay. So the other day, I think it was the weekend or something. I don't remember when it was, but I was like, okay, I have two things to talk about. This is okay. First, I tried meditating and I was like, today's the day. Everyone is sleeping. It's like 6:22 on a Saturday or something. I'm going to get up, and I had a lavender mask that has been in my closet for like too long. And I was like, today's the day. I'm going to wash my face, and I'm going to put on this mask, and I'm going to sit on the couch, and I'm going to meditate for a few minutes, and then I'm going to write some gratitude down, right? Like, that's what I'm going to do. And at 7:17 in the morning, I closed my eyes and I was like, okay, I can do this. And at 7:22, I heard, Mom, what's on your face?
So much for
I
meditating.
like open one eye, and it's Emery peering through the I don't know what they're called, the spindles on the staircase, that kind of thing. And he goes, "Mom, what's on your face?" I was like, "Listen, why are you awake? It's Saturday. Go back. Go away." He said, "Yeah, but there's something on your face." And so that was the end of the meditation.
So much for meditation. That was what I was going to say. How can you possibly meditate with 2 children?
Everybody was asleep, okay?
Until you start doing something for yourself. You know the rules.
Exactly.
You know the rules.
As soon as I sat down and closed my eyes, it's like he could hear me meditating. It just was the most ridiculous thing ever. And so from that moment, I still had the mask on my face. I had to make him breakfast. I had to find a show for him to watch. I had to. And I was just like, well, shit, when am I supposed to do this? So I think the next time I try to meditate is I'm going to try at nighttime, which I know I feel like is going to be difficult because.
Well, they have meditating studios. I think like for example, you know how James likes to go to the gym,
mm-hmm.
right? Because that is a dedicated space for him to go and work out. If he were to try to do that at home with 2 boys, he wouldn't be able to get the workout that he gets at the gym. Same thing with you. Hey, James, you go to the gym. I need to go meditate.
Maybe
I just go meditate before I murder someone,
right?
So,
you know what I should do?
I'm going to go to the studio for like 40 minutes and meditate, and then I'll come back and I'll be a completely new different person. Here are the kids.
What I should start doing before I find a place to do that, because if I can't find 5 minutes to do it, like I'm not going to be able to get out of the house.
Go to your neighbor's house. I'll be right back.
No, but I have the studio in the attic. And I think it's because I was in the living room in a very open public space that the first thing he did was come down and
Are you crazy?
Well, everybody was sleeping. I thought everywhere was...
You have a home. There's no place in that home that's not public. Even the bathroom. You know that.
I know the bathroom is definitely not public.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go upstairs and sit in the studio. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they're going to pop out the little...
I'm going to put a lock on the inside of the door so you can lock yourself into the studio.
That's too funny.
But anyway, so I tried that. And the reason I tried that, I should tell you, is because this past weekend, James and I went to see Abraham Hicks. Remember when I told the episode I had we had an episode called Good Things Always Happen to Me. Remember that? And we were talking about the law of attraction and vortexes and source energy and all of that stuff. We went to see them. It's Esther and Abraham is one person. We went to see them on Saturday in Greenwich. And it was like it was from 9 to 1-ish.
In the morning or in the
afternoon? In the morning.
Okay.
9 a.m. to not.
I was going to say 9 p.m. to 1 in the morning.
No. I can't do that. No, 9 in the morning until 1. And she's a rock star. She is a friggin' rock star. That room was packed. There were easily like 2,500 people in that room. So many different kinds of people, all fancy people, right? Like all different levels of fancy. And people were so excited. Okay. I swear that I get, like, I'm enjoying, James is really into it, and I'm enjoying the like runoff that I get from him being so happy into it. And in turn, I'm also getting some stuff out of it. But I definitely went to support him because he wanted to go and I wouldn't let him go. I wouldn't make him go to something like that by himself.
I mean, 2 happy people in a household would really seem like a bit like, I don't know, spooky. It is Halloween.
It is. But anyway, so I went mostly out of support for him, but also out of interest and curiosity.
Because she revels in her misery.
No.
I'm kidding.
Because I'm curious. So anyway, we go and the place is packed and the tickets were not cheap and the place is packed and everybody there is like all different levels of cool, right? And her event runs like she does like maybe a 15-minute opening, which we were a little bit late for. But anyway, like it was so packed, we had such a hard time finding parking. It was like being at a concert and arriving at the concert late and having to park in the back of the second back.
And this is in Greenwich, right?
In Greenwich.
And the streets are already this big.
No, there was a lot. It was at a Hyatt Regency, which actually the Greenwich Hyatt I think it's called Regency, is really cool. And we didn't even see any of the rooms, just like the spaces and the restaurant places there. It's very cool.
Oh,
if you have
they're
a chance
amazing,
to go there.
amazing
Cool.
chain of hotels. So when we go to DC, that's where I stay at the Hyatt Regency in DC.
This one was incredible, and so we had lunch in the bar area there, and the bar area is like an atrium, like a 100-foot atrium with real live trees and a babbling brook in the middle.
And
like it is sunken in. Yep. It's so cool. Yep. So cool. Anyway, that's lunch, but she does this opening at the beginning and then she goes, "So what do you want to know?" Right? And when I tell you, it was like a kindergarten class where everybody's hand shoots up and they're like freaking peeing in their seats, jumping up, trying to be seen and trying to get picked to go up on stage. And then so she picks somebody and she calls them up on stage and then they get like about 10 minutes to just sort of, it's like therapy, right? It's just like 10 minutes to ask her your specific question about your specific thing. And then she uses all of her teachings, all of her like themes and lessons and expertise and all of that stuff to answer your specific question. But the range of things that people were bringing up there and like happy to share with in front of 2,500 people, maybe even more, was just incredible. And my favorite was the woman who went up and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm having such a good life and I'm so happy. It's all because of you. And I don't even have a question, but I'm just so happy to be here."
Oh my God, that's too funny.
She was just having a fangirl moment, like totally fan. And Abraham goes, this is it. Like the life doesn't have to be any more than this. This is the goal. Pure happiness. It's just like, that is the easiest cost of admission I've ever seen.
Like seriously.
So cool. And then I tell you, she says, "Okay, who's next?" And everybody is jumping and everybody's trying to be seen. So people are like in the aisle. She's like, "That won't help." And then she said this thing. She's like, she's pointing and people don't know who exactly she's pointing at. And she goes, if you think it's you, then stand up. And then somebody, like, she says, "If you think it's you, then it's you." And then someone pops up. But there's this moment of, like you have to believe that she's choosing you, which is sort of law of attraction stuff, like that kind of thing. And then she picks whoever believed it the most fastest. You know what I mean? And that person goes, "Oh, you must be talking to me." She's like, "Yeah, of course I was talking to you." People are beside themselves. And, I mean, the range of things that people the range of things people are going through all around you, you just never know. But a woman had lost her husband and was like stressed out. She didn't know if she could keep the house or like how her life was going to be without her husband, that sort of thing. Someone else was having like major anxiety and vertigo because she like didn't know what to do with herself. And anytime she got scared, then she would have like, it would have a physical reaction, like manifest physically. I mean, just people are really going through it, but through this law of attraction and positive thinking and all of the stuff that Abraham Hicks teaches, they're really like finding themselves. And so it was a very cool experience. I definitely think it's a cult, like without any sacrifice or like blood exchange, right? It's definitely a cult. But since it doesn't have those things, like I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it.
Well, I think it's more of it's someone found a way to bottle up positivity. Even when you're not positive yourself, we are all capable in some way of cheering someone up, right? And I think that's what they're doing. They just took the opportunity to take common sense, bottle it up, and say, if you do these things, you'll be happier. And there's a lot of things that you can do in your life every day that truly can make you happy. And so when you take that up and you bottle it up and you package it and you sell it and you have a personality to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things. I'm not saying that she's a fraud or anything. I'm just simply saying that this is someone who truly knows how to take an opportunity and make something out of typically what people ordinarily wouldn't think something can be made of.
Right.
And then she takes it and she goes on stage and she makes people feel unique and special and good. And
that's all people want.
And that's all people want. and that's
want to
a
be
product.
heard,
That's
want to
her
be
product.
heard, and want to be made to feel special
Or that is
or
their
good.
product.
No,
So,
their
their
is
product.
their product.
So, I mean, hey, more power to you. If you can go around making money, selling tickets, filling hotel ballrooms, with thousands of people that want to come and listen to what you have to say, please do so.
Right.
Seriously.
You'd be an idiot not to.
Yeah, it beats sitting in a cubicle all day long at a corporate office somewhere. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I make a really good living. Thank you very much. But it really does. And so, and listen, and if that's what you love to do, do what you love.
That's what she says. That's what she says.
That is it.
I can't even remember her catchphrase. But anyway, look up Abraham Hicks if you want some positivity today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever. Okay, that's it that was the biggest thing that I was trying not to forget to bring up tonight. All right, so let's jump into the interview I did with Miss Tonya, and then we'll come back with the hashtag Mom So Hard tip at the end.
Miss Tonya, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight.
I'm so excited. I really am.
So I have been following you on Instagram for several months now, and really, really love the videos and contents that you put out on Instagram and on your social media. And so you are probably the first person that I've reached out to that I don't know at all. Like everyone on the show, had on the show has been people that I know in some sort of way. And
right.
But you know how social media goes. You feel like you know people even though you're not, you don't really know them. So anyway, thank you so much for answering the call and agreeing to be on the show.
Oh, I'm just honored. I'm definitely honored. And to me, it's just a blessing, to be able to have a platform to meet so many wonderful women, wonderful providers.
Oh, awesome. So tell us a little bit about you and your business and the Daycare Chronicles 101.
I started family daycare when I was 23 years old. Wow. I was having my second child and I wanted to stay home. And so I didn't want my child in daycare. And I just took a leap of faith. And my grandmother was like my biggest supporter. Go ahead and do it. I was working at the bank. My mother was like, no, don't leave the bank. And I'm like, no, I wanted to stay home. Best decision I ever made. It was the easiest thing I ever did. And then after that, it just grew and grew and grew. And here I am. I'm still doing it.
How many years have you been doing it?
I'm sorry, say it again.
How long have you been doing it?
29 years.
Wow.
My daughter is 31. My son is 29. And I started when my son was born.
That's incredible.
And now I keep my grandsons. My daughter has 2 boys. So now I'm able to keep them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And where's your business? Where are you operating out of?
I'm in Hawthorne, California.
Okay.
Family daycare out of my home. Still doing. I have this big, humongous backyard. In California, when you're living in the city, you don't always have like a big yard, but we have this humongous backyard. I'm from Ohio.
Okay.
So I love the trees, the fruit trees. And my home is so inviting for the children.
Yeah.
They come in and they're able to go outside. I have an indoor-outdoor classroom. We're outside all day unless it's pouring down raining. I'm from back east, so it was nothing to put a coat on, So, yeah, it's taken on a life of its own. And Daycare Chronicles, I was standing in the backyard and I said, okay, I've been doing this a long time. I'm ready to transition to something else. And I'm standing there and the thought came to me. And I said, only God could have given me the thought, Daycare Chronicles 101. And that's where it was.
Okay. And so how long have you been doing that?
Just since, I believe it's been January, February.
Of this year.
Of this year.
Incredible. That's so cool. I love that. And tell us a little bit about what the Daycare Chronicles 101 is.
Daycare Chronicles is just a platform that I am able to share stories to seasoned providers, new providers, women who may want to open up a daycare, and just funny things that happen in daycare and just some of the issues that providers have. But I just try to do it in a kind of light way.
Yeah.
I've had so many women that are providers reach out to me and say, you taught me to stand up for myself, to enforce my rules, and then so many providers like, oh my goodness, we have the same story. No matter where you're at, where you live, we all have the same stories
Mhm.
because we all do the same thing. Children are the same, you know?
First thing I said too when I called you the other day was that I learned so much from watching those videos and wish that I had seen them sooner, because so many of those same scenarios have popped up for me, and have only been doing it for a year and a half. And so I don't I don't respond the way I should. I don't feel confident enough most of the time to respond and sort of from a place of strength. And so it's just really, I can't promise that I will next time something like this pops up. But I would like to think that now that you've at least heard that it's not just you, right? And that these areas are sort of almost generic, right? They have everywhere, that you can be a little bit stronger in your, or a little stronger in your responses to them. So definitely thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, yes, ma'am. You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
So we talked a little bit already about how you got into child care as a new mom of young kids.
Right.
Do you have an early childhood background?
I actually do not.
Okay.
I started daycare at 23, and this has just been what it is.
Okay.
The thing about it is that I just had to realize that I just have a gift. And I don't know what you're experiencing, but in California, family daycare, we are experiencing a lot of children that are on the spectrum.
Okay.
They are coming through family daycare. So we're the ones that are initially seeing the first signs of it. So that's a whole nother element that has come into family child care. So being that we're the ones that are the first to see these signs and these symptoms, then we're the ones that usually speak to the parents. Of course, typically when they go to regional center, they're like, well, we don't diagnose till they're 3.
Right.
But I'm seeing signs at 1, 2. I had a podcast with one of my daughter's friends that she graduated high school with. She works for the regional center. And I did a podcast with her. And she was telling me that there are times when you see something, but you don't know what it really is. And you don't want to say anything to a parent if you don't know. And she says, well, that's when a child may be dual diagnosed or triple diagnosed. I'm thinking, I didn't even know that was even possible. So, that was a learning experience for me. Now it made me understand, okay, it could have been this and this. And I didn't say anything to that parent because I wasn't sure. When there have been other parents that I have said things to, they have taken them to get tested at the regional center, and they're able to get, early intervention help.
Oh, that's great.
That's one of the most difficult things. Is just because the child is on a spectrum does not mean that they are not smart, they are not intelligent, that they cannot learn, that they will not be successful in life. You give them what they need. So I'm seeing that now, but I just have this nurturing gift.
Okay.
And that comes from my grandmother,
It's incredible when you finally find something that you really like and that you're good at, and you can recognize that you just are good at this thing. And there are things you can do to support that, right? You can take some classes or you can get some training, but innately you have this gift. And I think that it's so incredible, whether it's daycare or something else.
Right.
People finally get to this point where they recognize what their gift is. Because I think a lot of people don't see it early enough, or can't recognize it when they do see it, because maybe they undervalue it. I think that there's a lot of ways that people undervalue the thing that they're actually really good at and that they like, because the world tells them that it's not cool. To me, I guess my husband is a teacher. He's a high school teacher. So, I would tell him, well, I don't have a college degree. And he's like, Tonya, you do this all day, every day. You are amazing. The impact that you have on the children. He was like, this is your gift. And it took me 20 years in the game to realize this is it. Right. I'm like, is this my purpose? Because I feel like there's so much more. I think that's why Daycare Chronicles was born too, because I'm able to help
and educate and teach so many more people with this platform.
That's incredible. So then let's shift gears a little bit from the specificness of daycare providing, childcare providing, to just being an entrepreneur. What's the most important thing to you in your business? How did you get started as an entrepreneur, and what keeps you up at night?
I will say that this was the easiest thing I've ever done. I just fell into this. I don't even know. Like, I just had an idea and I'm like, okay, let me try this. I went around to other daycares and preschools, and you pretend that you want to enroll your child and you're just trying to see what information they will give you, because no one will share anything with you. So I'm getting brochures from all these places. And I met a lady that worked at our regional, at Crystal Stairs, which is our resource and referral. And she pretty much guided me and kind of took me under her wings. And we're still friends today. She did one of the podcasts with me. And I kept her grandchildren. I mean, it was just, daycare was just something I guess I was just destined to do. You know, I was 23. I mean, I had no idea that it would be this long and it would be this gratifying.
Okay.
You know, as far as being an entrepreneur, I guess I didn't even really realize, like, I just wanted to stay home and take care of my own children. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And, you know, I'm still here.
Yeah. What I hear you say a lot on the Daycare Chronicles is it's a business. This is a business. You always say, you got to remember, this is a business.
Yes.
I hear you say that all the time. When you're saying that to people, what are you trying to impress on them?
That you have, in order to get the respect from the clients that you have, you're not a babysitter. You're not a nanny. This is how you pay your bills, make your income. And if you allow the clients to just run over you, just do anything they want to do, you're going to be stressed out, which means that's going to affect everything. You know, if you get stressed out, it's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your attitude. You know, it's going to affect the children, your husband, you know, everything. So you have to be professional at all times. Daycare providers have fought so hard just to be respected. And I say that a lot too. We need to be respected. Like, if you want to be respected, then you need to present that to them. And parents will try you with every little thing. Every little thing. They will try you. And I have been tried. I have been thoroughly tried. And I've always been a strong woman. I was raised by a strong woman, but I'm the oldest daughter. I'm the oldest granddaughter on both sides of the family. So I'm the oldest, you know? So I've always had that mother thing in me. But with clients, you have to stand firm and stand your ground because they will run over you. I have providers DMing me. I just can't. I said, well, show them the video. Show them, let me tell them for you, you know. Like, you have to stand up for yourself. I had a provider tell me, my client keeps coming late. I said, well, give her a late fee. Well, I do. I said, well, raise the late fee. My late fee is $10 a minute. I don't want your money. Don't be late. I have things to do. I had to call somebody tonight. I knew we had to do this. And the client, it was 6:00. I'm like, oh no. So I called the mom and she's like, oh, the dad's picking him up. I said, well, I need you to text him because I'm ready to walk out the door. She didn't know I was going to be sitting here with you, but I'm just saying. But it still happens to me. And, you know, I was like, my late fee is $10 a minute. He got to that door in 2.2 seconds. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not playing with y'all. Get here and get your child. Right. And they were here 10 hours too. If you don't get here and get these children.
That's incredible. Okay, so what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is trying to make sure that I give each child what they need. Because in family daycare, you have a multiple age groups. It's not like working at a center. So I have from age 1 to age 4. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, we can have the same concept, but I'm going to have different activities for each age group. But it can be the same concept. And then 2, if you have a parent that maybe you had a misunderstanding with, or they just got upset, sometimes you just get upset. And then you want to leave everyone on a good note. You know, you never want to have someone having a bad or ill feeling, even though you may not be able to meet their need. Still, you want to be able for the parent. It's like customer service. You always want the parent to kind of feel like they're right. You know what I'm saying? So that at least if the child is taken away, it's like they did it. It was because they wanted to, not because you put them out. You know? Yeah. It's just trying to make sure that the children get what they need.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. And then related to that, what does success look like for you?
Success looks like for me transitioning to where God is taking me now. Mm-hmm. Being able to help as many providers as I can, and there are millions of providers out there. Being able to be that support system, to be that consultant, to be able just to be there when a provider just needs to vent, and I can be like, you know what, baby, I've been there too. You're not the only one, you know?
That's all to hear sometimes.
Yeah, yes, and I told a provider this today. I said, the client that you do the most for, the client that you go above and beyond the duty for, that'll be the client that breaks your heart. It'll be that client. I bought shoes for children, and mother has gotten mad because I bought shoes. Well, the shoes were too little. And you don't try to belittle the parent. It's like, I know you need a little bit of help. It's okay. It's a gift from the daycare, not from me, from the daycare, you know? But success is just being able to make money while I sleep. Make money while I sleep, and just be the best me that I can be, you know?
Well, it looks like you're doing it. Now, something I've been thinking about lately are mantras. And so I'm interested to know if you have a mantra. Is there something that some sort of like guiding concept or guiding phrase that besides it's a business?
Well, you know what? I'll say this. When I wake up every morning, I don't pre-plan my Chronicles. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't even think about it the night before. It's what God gives me in the morning.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm big on do unto others as you want them to do unto you. I'm big on kindness and love. But when I tell you that I have that one-on-one relationship with God, I do. And he guides my footsteps. So he gives me that thought. I'm not smart enough to come up with a thought. He gives me that thought in the morning. Okay, so this is what you're going to talk about. I don't even have them written down anywhere.
Wow. I love it. When I see them, it's like the Church of Daycare Chronicles. That's what I needed from Miss Tonya today.
Oh my goodness. And I have so many stories in my head. So many. And I have so many good memories of daycare and things that have happened. But then you run across those things that just kind of irk you. Like today, I said, when that one child just doesn't come, the child you love to death, but when that child isn't there, it's like, whoo, I got a break today. You know, we all have those children in our facilities. Providers don't want to say it, but they're like, oh yeah, I feel you, Miss Tonya. They were just
mind.
Yes.
Okay, and so if we're thinking about tips for people who are starting a business, any business, what would be your best tip for someone who's getting started opening their own business?
I would say to make sure that it's definitely something that you have a passion for.
Okay.
Something that, of course, is going to be lucrative, but something that you have a passion for and something that you're good at. And you should always have fear, that healthy fear. You can't be too arrogant, too cocky about anything. I'm always like, is this okay? Is that okay? You know what I'm saying? You always have that unknown there. So you have that healthy fear, which is good. But just know that it's going to take hard work, dedication, and sometimes you're going to have to, one thing, You have to spend money to make money. That is one of the things that I try to stress to providers. You have to invest back into your business. You have to make sure that you have what's needed. So sometimes it may not be lucrative right away, but when God sees you working and he see, he's not just going to give you a handout. And if you get a handout, you better be like, whoa, why? Why is this just coming to me so easy? Because that's not how he operates. You got to put in some work. And so do what is in your heart and do what you feel that you're capable of doing. But I still say have that little bit of fear in there. That fear is good. That fear is your pushing factor. Like when I started the podcast, I didn't know what I was doing. Someone told me what to do. I do it on my iPhone. I'm not even here yet. And it sounds good. And there it is there, So, and then always have a mentor.
Okay.
Mentors are important. And I found one through Instagram.
Whoa.
Whenever you're the smartest person in your circle, then it's time for you to leave that circle and find some more people, so that you can become greater.
Okay.
Because then everyone's just looking at you, Yeah. So I'm like, I have Daycare Chronicles, but I'm like, I'm trying to take this to the next level. So, that's just something to think about too.
Oh, I love that. The mentors are so important, and there's so much. I think sometimes it feels hard to find a mentor. Like you're searching, and then you have to balance that with like feeling like you're stuck, like you can't do anything unless someone else gives you the go ahead.
Right.
You get stuck in, like, there's a healthy fear, and then there's a paralyzing fear that you can get stuck in. You need to find the right person. I talked to a friend several episodes back, and she said, when looking for a mentor, you need to make sure that you have someone who really knows about the thing you need mentoring in, because someone who's a good life mentor might not be a good business mentor.
Right.
Or so make sure you're picky and choosy, and that it's okay to have different mentors for different avenues of life. So
great advice
is really huge.
That's great advice. Yeah, absolutely. That is great advice. I like that.
Yeah, she's really good. That's my friend Janae Marks. So the last question I have, because this as an adult, I find that this is probably my most difficult adulting thing, is what is for dinner? What are you making for dinner tonight?
I made black beans and rice with grilled asparagus.
Oh, that's it? No meat?
We're pretty much vegetarian.
Oh.
So the beans are our meat. And that's how the daycare is too.
Mind blown. Okay. That's, I could eat beans and rice like all day. My family is from the Caribbean and Central America. I could eat beans and rice and beans all the time. But it always feels like the meal is not complete without meat. But that sounds delicious. Yeah. I'm just trying. I am building a recipe vault. So whenever I have some slow days and I don't know what to do, I can have these cool ideas.
Well, let me tell you. My husband got my book autographed for me, Layla Ali's cookbook.
Oh.
Go on Amazon and order Layla's cookbook. It is beyond amazing.
Wow. How did you get it autographed?
Well, my husband knows her, so. Yes. My husband. And so he was able to get it autographed for me. I was so excited. He came home with it. I was like, yay. Yeah.
So that's where you get new recipes.
Well, you know what I use a lot? All Recipes.
Oh.
I use allrecipes.com.
Okay.
More than not, I do. I got her cookbook the other day. I'm definitely going to delve into that because I love to cook. I love to bake. I love to bake. And so daycare takes up a lot of time. So I try to do a lot of prep at night. And then that way, because it'll take so much time away from the children. But yeah. Luckily, it's just me and my husband, so I know how I can feed us. We don't have to worry about little ones running around feeding them at night.
Oh, God. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my own kids, and they don't pay me no mind. You should see our table right now. We put out some food. My husband put out a whole plate of food, and my son ate, what are those things called? Hawaiian buns. All he wanted was 4 Hawaiian buns. And that's
How old is he?
5.
Yeah.
I've just decided that I'm not going to harass him. Like, he will eat when he's hungry, and I'm not going to stress out myself one bit.
That's right. And he will.
Or else before we'd be following him around with a piece of chicken, like trying to push it in his mouth. I was like, girl.
Well, does he want to be vegetarian? Look.
Well, here's the thing is that I don't know if we've been overfeeding them meat, but lately he's been opting not to eat it. So I'm not going to put any words on it. I just
I got you.
The food, and whatever he eats. But my other child won't eat any He only eats rice, but he won't eat any other carbs. He just eats the meat. So my other son ate chicken and grapes for dinner tonight. I mean, what am I going to do? They're sleeping now. If they were hungry, they'd be awake. So,
well, that's true. That's true. That's true. Absolutely. Goodness. Yeah. What I say, we pick our battles.
Yes. Pick your battles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even with the daycare children, we pick our battles,
I know.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
I know. Thank you so much for taking time tonight to talk to me. I am so grateful. I have learned so much from you in this short amount of time, and also from the Daycare Chronicles. So can you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Daycare Chronicles 1-on-1. I'm also on Twitter. I have a podcast on Apple iTunes, Luminary, Spotify, Libsyn. So those are, and also Little Critters 24-hour daycare in the city of Hawthorne. You can find me on Yelp.
I love it. Well, again, Miss Tonya, thank you so much. And I hope when something exciting is going on, something new and exciting is going on, I hope you'll come back and share it with us here.
I will do that. I'm working on my book now, so I am. Thank you.
I can't believe it. That's amazing. I can't wait. So when the book is ready, come back and we'll talk about it.
I sure will. Thank you so much, Candace.
Thank you so much, Miss Tonya. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's do our Mom's So Hard tip.
Hashtag Mom's So Hard tip of the week.
Okay, so the tip for this week is to always have a backup, and that in this Mom So Hard realm means have a backup bag of things you need in your car if you drive. I don't know what you'll do if you don't drive, because like carrying around a bunch of shit all the time is going to be hard. So let me come back to you. Yeah, let me come back to you with a tip for when you're traveling and you're not driving and you don't have a car. But definitely have some kind of like go bag emergency kit. Emergency kit's probably a better term in your car that stays in your car that you reevaluate maybe with the seasons, that kind of thing. This weekend we went to visit my uncle because my grandmother was there, and because of him, but my grandmother was there. And on our way down, I've been committed that Emery is potty trained. Like, we're going to be fine. Use the bathroom before we leave. We'll stop at an hour, use the bathroom again. James said put on a diaper, and I was like, no, he's fine. Meanwhile, within the hour, he peed in the thing, right? So I went inside, and James said, oh, we don't have anything. And I was like, did you look in his bag? He said, yeah, I looked in his bag. There are diapers, but there are no clothes. And I really thought that I put clothes in that bag. And to be fair and truthful, there were clothes in the bag. They just were behind the diapers, right? It was a pair of sweatpants and a pair of underwear behind the diapers, but there were 3 or 4 diapers in the bag, and Emery's clothes are small, so you didn't see it. So anyway, we're in the place.
Ouch.
We're in the place, and he says there are no clothes. And I had this like incredulous look on my face, like I definitely packed that bag, but maybe I'm having a mind freeze that I didn't.
Maybe I didn't meditate enough.
And so then we had to stop. Like, Emery was sitting in a pull-up. So we had diapers. Emery was sitting in a pull-ups in the car for the next hour until we got to New Jersey. And then I had to run into Kmart, find some pants, bring them out, get him new pants. Yeah.
They exist?
There's a Kmart in New Jersey near my uncle's house.
Figures.
But anyway, that was the only backup I thought I had was in the bag that I set for him, because I did not have my other bag in my car. It was in the, I was using it for some other reason. So I took it out of the car and it was in the garage in the stroller, where that's where I had I call it my go bag. So because I didn't have the go bag inside of the car, we had to stop at Kmart. It took a whole bunch of extra time. It took us a longer time to get to the place, blah, 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 blah. So that's the tip of the week, to make sure you have some kind of emergency kit, go bag in your car. And the added bonus piece is I would put a little like list, laminate it, stick it on, tape, like write on some, electric tape, or what is that? Duct tape. Make a little list, like a little checklist of things that you should have in the bag, so that when you're packing the bag, you always know what to put in there and you don't end up forgetting some like random thing. And that could go in your go bag or in your diaper bag or whatever bag you're using, so that every time you're packing that bag, you can look at this little fast checklist: diapers, wipes, change of clothes, underwear,
Are they there?
Benadryl.
Does it need to be
those kinds
refilled?
of things.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And that way you don't end up in a bind. And to be fair, like, we live in a first world country, you probably won't be in too much of a bind, because I was able to go to Kmart, but it took time. In New Jersey. But it took time out of the day. So I wish I didn't have to, if I had the bag, which I did have packed.
So get that list ready, stick it on, follow it, make sure that you put your items in there,
and keep it in your bag.
In your car.
And revisit it every season.
Yeah.
And put some snacks in it if you can, which is why you have to revisit every season, because of the water bottles and, all that jazz, and food expirations and medicine. Like, I now keep Tylenol tablets in my car, so that in case we get sick, or Benadryl tablets. Lincoln has an allergy to dogs and cats, and every so often I forget that we're going to someone's house who has an animal like that, and I wish we had the Benadryl in the car. So put a few things together in your car and just leave them there, and then check it out every season.
Yeah, get that little emergency kit ready. So.
Yeah, emergency kit. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm happy to be here. It feels weird because the interview is coming later, because we didn't get to have it right now, but you'll hear it. You'll hear it in the playback, so it'll be good.
Absolutely.
We'll be back next week. I don't know who the guest is for next week yet, but it's going to be good anyway. And you can find us in all the places.
That's right.
And try meditating this week if you can. Find someone who does smudging. I'm sure it'll be good. Some Palo Santo. And if you know anything about that, reach out to me so that I can learn a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's it for now. I'll talk to you later. Bye. This show is produced by Tom Ortiz at Digital Stream Radio. It's available for download on Podbean. Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast, or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.